I don't know, would you guys believe me if I told you I got up this morning, got dressed, was so ready to start my day? It is the weekend, so I don't have to technically work, but I like to use this time to play catch up in regulatory. I've talked about that a little bit in like other coffee chat videos, but that's besides the point of this video. I got in the car and I drove to go and get an oat milk honey latte. Now, I should have known that this wasn't going to be a good coffee shop because they don't carry honey. They only have simple syrup. Honey to me is a basic ingredient, and if you are a coffee and tea shop, like baseline, that should just be something you have. But anyway, I got this very mid coffee. I ordered some food, and then I realized that the coffee shop closes at 2 o'clock. So I only had about an hour. Now that was not part of my plan. My plan was actually to film this coffee chat video in the coffee shop because I thought that that would be super cute, don't you think? Anyway, I quickly have to scarf my food down and run out of this coffee shop so that people can leave at their respectable times. I get in the car and I was like, okay, I'll film the coffee chat video walking around the neighborhood instead, because that could also be cool, holding the coffee and all that. I go outside, I walk about half a mile, almost a mile, trying to find the perfect lighting. Not to mention I just got a new camera because my Canon G7X, which I normally film these coffee chat videos with, broke. So just got a new camera, and there's a learning curve obviously with testing like the lighting and the exposure, and I'm still getting used to it. So I wasted about another hour trying to set that up, and it didn't work. It's also freezing outside, LA freezing. So then I walked back to the car and I was like, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to start the coffee chat in the car, and now my coffee is cold. So welcome back to another coffee chat video. Before we get started, you already know that I have to tell you guys what I'm wearing, although I'm not in my normal space. This sweater is from Pasta Label, really cute. I'm just wearing denim jeans with it. My outfit should be on my Instagram, so if you're interested in this look, you can go there. The reason why I did that whole intro and gave you like that whole disclaimer into how this day did not go as I intended or planned is to let you know that that's what being an entrepreneur is. A lot of people have asked me like, what does it take to be an entrepreneur? How do you become an entrepreneur? How do you become a successful entrepreneur? This, that, and the third. And like the simplest way I could put it is creating a plan, that plan not going as you intended, pivoting to come up with a solution, and moving forward so that you can forge forward with whatever your business plan is. As someone who creates content, that is a business. I do have an actual LLC for my social media. So creating content, videos, all of that is also like a job. And sometimes it doesn't go as planned. Sometimes I plan the whole day to film and shoot like a ton of videos, and then the whole day is spent with just lighting. Or I plan to like write scripts and the scripts don't go as planned. Or I post and the content doesn't perform as well. Or there's a bunch of different things. I remember when I first started creating YouTube videos, people used to tell me that like my audio was horrible. And now I've upgraded to like, the Rode mic. I remember having like lighting issues when I first filmed. I remember having uploading issues and just like struggling with thumbnails, trying to figure out like what my aesthetic was as an individual and experimenting with that. And look where we are now. I'm doing really well on TikTok. I'm doing really well on Instagram. And it's because I have the mindset of an entrepreneur where you kind of have to constantly pivot and build the plane as you are flying it. I want to get into like a little bit more of the exact characteristics and traits that are required, I believe, to become an entrepreneur, and also speak to like what it actually takes, because I think there's like this. Anyway, let me just get into the characteristics, okay? So I will take a sip of this coffee first. It's not horrible, it's just not great. Okay, so what are the characteristics I think that are required to be an entrepreneur? The first one is grit, which is essentially just like a mixture of perseverance and passion. Whatever it is that you're working on, whatever it is that you're trying to achieve, you have to be resilient in trying to reach that goal. I think resilience comes also in part with like being okay with rejection and being okay with failure, because things are not always going to go as planned, as I already said at the start of this video. But a successful entrepreneur will be someone who continues to push forward irregardless of those failures. And a very important piece of that, grit and perseverance and passion and being resilient to failure and change, is that you're willing to change your strategy as well. That's something that I see a lot of people who want to become entrepreneurs fail at, is they believe that their idea is the best idea in the world. And even though their customers who they're trying to sell to don't believe it or buy the product, they refuse to change what they believe should be successful. Sometimes what we think as an entrepreneur is not what your consumer likes. It's just like when someone posts a vlog and then it gets 0 views, and you've been vlogging for like 10 years and there's always 0 views. Maybe you have to change your approach. Maybe you have to put your own personal flair on it, because there's also so many competitors in the market. Same thing goes with when you're an independent consultant in regulatory affairs. I always tell people that when I work for clients in regulatory, I will tell them I will do anything. I have had medical writing experience. I can write SOPs, so I have experience in quality. I have a little bit of CMC experience. So if you need me to review some stability reports or update some, Module 3 documents, I'm happy to do it. Now, my actual role is like clinical regulatory strategy, but that's fine. What sets me apart from other regulatory consultants is that I'm willing to do more, or I have more of a versatile background in comparison to other people, so I'd be more likely to get the job from that consumer or be offered that contract from that buyer. Running my own regulatory affairs consulting agency or having my own independent consulting company is also another avenue of entrepreneurship. And I realized that I needed to be versatile in offering multiple things. When people kept telling me that I was like too young to start independently consulting on myself, or I didn't have like enough experience. Nonsense. So yeah, that's one way I adjusted. Like, I could have just been like, no, I don't need to offer my clients more. I don't need to say I know how to do quality and all these things. Like, I can just say I'm only regulatory and that's it. If you don't want someone who's clinical regulatory strategy, go and find another consultant. That doesn't work. You have to optimize based on what your customers and your consumers are asking for. I've even done, like, as a contractor and a consultant, mentorship for other regulatory people within the organization, just because during the interview or from the client, I noticed that they were saying like people were green and needed more nurturing in terms of understanding regulatory and just like the clinical research and development landscape. So pivoting, resilient, and willing to adjust your end goal or how you answer the problem or how you address your customers is also very, very important. There were like a few, Another characteristic that I believe is required to being a successful entrepreneur is curiosity. You have to be curious. And I think something that people forget when they say like, my goal is to be an entrepreneur. That's nice, but what problem are you solving? I feel like if you're curious and finding innovative ways to solve a problem, you will naturally evolve into a great entrepreneur. But if your main goal of pursuing entrepreneurship is just money, I find that it's going to be a little bit harder for you to reach that goal. Not to say it's impossible. I just think people who focus on solving an actual problem are more likely to become successful entrepreneurs. Another thing, which is kind of on theme with what I've already said in this video, you have to have a good work ethic. It's the weekend and I'm still choosing to do extra work. That's entrepreneurship. It's not clocking in from 9 to 5. If you're the kind of person who is like, oh, I only want to work 8 hours a day, that's it, whatever, entrepreneurship is not for you. And that's just being honest. But if you want to be a successful entrepreneur, or you want to know what it takes to be an entrepreneur, know that it's more than 8 hours a day. Know that it is like working on the weekends. Know that it's sometimes not being able to do things with your friends or go places because you have to work on a project or whatever. And some people might be like, well, that's sad. I want to live my life. There's no saying you can't live your life. I live my life. I travel. I hang out with people. I have so much fun. Like, yes, social media is another job for me as well, but it's also a hobby. I find it very fun. It's something that I'm passionate about. Sharing information with people is something that I'm passionate about. Making this video right now, sitting in the car, drinking this mid coffee, not passionate about this at all, but passionate about being able to share information with other people because they're interested in bettering their life in some capacity. So it's not as much of a burden for me as it might be for someone else. Entrepreneurship is not for everyone. If you want to know what it takes to be an entrepreneur, having a strong work ethic, which sometimes requires you to work more than 8 hours a day, is mandatory. There was a quote that I saw Will Smith make. I can't remember where or when. I think it was an interview. But somebody was like, oh, you have been in so many movies, you've done so many things. Like, what do you attribute all of that to? And he said something along the lines of, I know when I go into an audition, like, you might be a better actor than me, you might be a better runner than me, you might be a better singer than me, you might be whatever in theory. However, there is nobody who will outwork me. And at the end of the day, the people who are willing to outwork other people are the ones who are able to be successful entrepreneurs. So those are just a few of the things I feel like it takes to be an entrepreneur. As someone who people classify me as an entrepreneur, sometimes I'm just like cringe. I don't even really care for the word because I'm just doing what I like to do, and that's pretty much it. But yes, I am an entrepreneur, and I think for me, it really just comes down to hard work, like I have an insane work ethic. And I'm not just saying that, like, I hate saying stuff like that about myself, like cringe. However, people in places where I've worked have told me that I have like a very strong work ethic, and they know that I'm the kind of person where if they ask me, does something need to get done, I've already done it. Or if someone's thinking about something that needs to get done, I've already thought about it. And I'm like that also in like the professional workspace, so that I have extra time to do stuff like this. Working on weekends doesn't bother me. I don't do it every weekend. Filming content late into the evening doesn't bother me. Editing late in the evening doesn't bother me. Waking up early to attend a government health authority meeting doesn't bother me. I think it's part of just willing to work hard, and that doesn't mean this is how my life is going to be forever. I think that's something else people should think about, is when you do become a successful entrepreneur, these like your 20s and your 30s that you spent working crazy, your 40s, 50s, and 60s, like they don't have to be like that. There's a lot of people who I know, even I have a friend who's going to retire at 35 because they worked so hard all throughout their 20s, invested their money, kept their expenses down low, and the investments that they've made is what's going to sustain them into, you know, however many years. I don't think entrepreneurship means working until you die. I think it means working on something you're passionate about, solving a problem you're interested in, and doing it for as long as you want to until you want to do something else. And that's part of what I said earlier, is like the willingness to adapt and change. Who knows if I'll be making content 10 years from now? I don't know. Right now, I'm loving regulatory. I'm loving creating content. I'm loving working on Ilana Health. I'm loving looking for ways and innovative ways to solve certain problems. And that's really all that it comes down to. So I hope this video was helpful for you. I hope if you've been asking yourself, like, what does it take to be a successful entrepreneur, that you got some of those questions answered. And another thing I just want to say in general, because I feel like people look up on YouTube, like, how do I become a successful entrepreneur? Because you believe like that's the only way you're going to make a lot of money. There's multiple ways to earn money. There's ultimate like a million ways to build wealth, whether it's climbing the corporate ladder within an organization, whether it's being an entrepreneur, whether it's making investments, which also doesn't really categorize you as an entrepreneur, because you're just like investing in companies and then like you get an exit, which is like money once they sell or IPO. But there's multiple ways. So don't feel like you have to be an entrepreneur in order to be successful. And okay, last thing for real, is there are so many people who were entrepreneurs who worked in corporate first, right? And then they left corporate, started their own thing, and then went back to corporate. That is the tale as old as time. Why? Because so many people get exhausted with the journey of entrepreneurship, so they need a break. Or their companies get bought. Luckily, if you are able to achieve whatever entrepreneurial goal that you have. Like, I think Kylie's Skin got acquired by Coty, COTY Inc. And I think also Fenty got acquired by LVMH, if I'm not mistaken. But those are obviously like entrepreneur paths that each of those women went down. And Kylie is less in the spotlight now. Rihanna's like still in the spotlight. But with Kyyah, like that was her entrepreneurial journey, was starting her skincare line and doing whatever. And now she can kind of just chill in the background. She probably is doing other things like investing, but that's what I mean by like you can start in one place and then transition into something else and then go back into entrepreneurship. It doesn't have to be like either or. So if you start in corporate, and like I started in corporate, let's remember, I started in corporate, and from working in corporate, I gained experience on how to build my own company as an independent consultant. So there's no wrong path, and you are on the right path if you're trying to figure out like how do I become an entrepreneur. I mean, seeking the knowledge and information is a good first step. So that's all. I just want to say, make sure you're subscribed to my channel. I post every Monday and Wednesday, coffee chats generally on those days, but if I feel like it, I throw a vlog in there every now and then. I'm more active on Instagram and TikTok with my day-to-day behind the scenes. Only 17% of you guys are subscribed to my channel, so you're missing so much information. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. My goal for 2025 is to hit 100,000 subscribers. So I will be grateful to you if you help me reach that. I will see you guys in the next coffee chat video, and hopefully my coffee will be better. Have a good morning. Bye.